Let's use data types in a Java program.
Hello, hey techies, welcome to TechCorner-JavaConCafe. I'm Dhruti, and after a long time I'm posting another blog for you guys. In this one, I'm going to talk about data types that are supported in Java, the categories, the types in those categories, and so on. So it's going to be fun. Let's start. Right, so data type. What is a data type? So as the name suggests, data type is nothing but type of data. It indicates what type of data is going to be stored in a particular variable. This is because it is important for the Java compiler to understand how much memory should be allocated for that variable when it is declared, and how much space it will require in order to store the kind of data that it's going to store in it. And in Java we have several primitive data types and reference types also, but for now we are going to see the primitive data types that are you can say supported by Java. They can be broadly categorized as integer types, floating point types, character types, and boolean types. We have one more category which is not exactly primitive type, but it's more a class or reference type, which is called as the string. We'll see all these data types one by one for you to better understand. But for now, understand that data type is going to indicate the type of data that the variable will store. Okay, so let's begin with the first category of data types, and that is the integer category. Now, this integer category, as the name suggests, is going to store integers, or you can say numbers. And it's about signed integers, which means it will allow you to store both positive and negative values. Now, the types supported in this category are byte, short, int, and long. This is how you write them: byte, short, int, and long. Now, on the screen you can see a table that lists the bit size, the range of values that are supported by each data type, and a little description of it. So from the screen you can understand that byte is supposedly the smallest of the integer types, wherein it is only supporting an 8-bit value, which can be fit in the 8-bit size of the memory, and that's why the range you can see is smaller, that is -128 to 127. So this is the only list of numbers that is -128 to 127 that will be supported by the byte type. Then short is a little bigger, and then because it is a 16-bit value then or type, and then there is the int, which is 32-bit, and then long, which supports 64-bit value. And that's why you can see the range of numbers supported by them also increases dynamically. Now, you might be thinking when to use which data type. So as you can see that the size supported by each one of them is drastically different. So if you have a very small value to be stored, like maybe a 1-digit, 2-digit number, or a 3-digit number, it's obvious you should use, and you know that that size is never going to increase, then it's better to use the smallest data type, that is byte, because it will suffice your need. However, if you have to store like things like salary, or you can say amounts, or some value which is very big, bills and all that, I think int is the data type you should choose. But if you have to store values like huge scientific calculations and population calculations and etc., which for which int probably may not suffice, then you should go for long. So it's situational, circumstantial, and you have to be sure that you are using the right data type, because otherwise it will lead to unnecessary occupancy of memory inside your machine, wherein unnecessarily a type will store 16 or 32 or 64 bits for something which can easily fit into 8 bits. So be judicious in using data types, and be smart in deciding what variable will get what data type. Okay, so the next category of data type is the floating point numbers. The floating point type is nothing but the one that stores numbers with fractional parts. Like you have salaries, you have maybe amounts, you have bills, whatever. Anything which doesn't require a rounding, but it requires you to have the decimal or fractional part for exactness, you can use the floating point data types. So in floating point data types, again we have two supported types, that is float and double, with again a difference in the number of bits they support, the size. So float is smaller, double is larger. So for normal purposes, for calculations and salary storage, etc., we normally use float. Only when the amount is going to go beyond a certain point, again like scientific calculations, etc., we would go for double. So these are only the major differences between float and double, and the precision points that they support, like float is single precision and double is double precision, and so on. So it's again up to you to select which data type you want to use based on what is the biggest value that is going to go into that variable to which you are assigning the data type. Okay, so the next one is the character type, wherein the supported type is the char. And now in this one, this basically stores only a single value. So it is used to store characters and symbols like letters and numbers. However, it's a 16-bit Unicode, wherein it supports the Unicode standards, wherein you have a numeric value assigned to every character, symbol, or number that you use. This is what makes it, usable across several platforms and different programs. Okay, so so if you code or if you use character, it will support several platforms. Even if the operating system changes, this character code will be supported in that also. Okay. Alright, so the next one is the Boolean type. Now this is different from all the previous types, wherein we had different values getting stored in those types of variables. However, this one supports only two values, and that is true or false. So it is generally used to check conditions or the truthfulness of a value or a result. So, and then based on that, you can do some other operation or just display to the user, okay, it's true or false. So in short, you'll remember that Boolean is going to identify whether something is true or false. Okay, now the most interesting type that has been added in Java is the string type. This is not a primitive type. This is a class which has been added by Java in the java.lang package, and this helps you to store a sequence of characters into one variable. So previously we saw that there is a char type which allows you to store characters, but it allows you to store only one character at a time. So you cannot store, let's say for example, the name of a person in one character. Now for that flexibility, Java introduced string as a class so that you can have several other methods which you can use to manipulate that string. Those we'll see later, but for now you need to understand that string is a class and it allows you to store a sequence of characters. So on screen you can see that the string name stores the value itcom, which means that this whole sequence of characters itcom is going to reside in one memory location that is going to be occupied by the variable name of type string. Okay, so now we know that what are the different data types supported in Java. So let's take a look at a small program that shows you how to assign values to variables and how to assign data types to variables and then assign values to them. So on screen you can see the program called class called invoice, and it has several data types used like string, float, int. Based on requirement, you can see the names of the variables have been taken based on the kind of value they are going to store. Some variables have been initialized along with the declaration, some have been initialized after declaration, and then we are using the assout statements in order to print these values. So don't worry, I'm going to show you the execution of this program and how to write this program next. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to use data types in a Java class. But before that, I'll show you how to create a new class in an existing application and an existing package in NetBeans. So here we are going to use the first application project that we have created earlier. Those who have not seen the vlogs, please click the links given in the description box and go through those vlogs first. Alright, so right click the first application package, new Java class. Now here you need to write the name of the new class. For example, let's say invoice. Okay, and it will ask you to select a package. Since we have only one package right now, we'll select this. You can create a new package and then select that one. Okay, and this will show you the entire path where your class is going to physically store, and then hit finish. So you can see a new class has been added called invoice, and it has been mentioned that it is present in the package first application in the class itself. Okay, next I'm going to show you how to add a main method to the class. Now normally when you already have one class with a main method, you can see over here it contains main class, so it will not allow you to or it will not create another class with a main method by default. So if you want to add a main method, you have to do it manually. So what to do, you just write down PSVM and hit tab.
So you can see that it's a shortcut that NetBeans provides, and automatically the public static void main statement gets added. So you don't need to write the whole statement by yourself. Okay, now you can see I have added some variables like item ID, quantity, price, amount, pay status, and available with the appropriate data types based on the value that they are going to store. On the right I have given comments. What are comments? I'll explain you later. For now, remember, comments are nothing but statements that are ignored by the compiler, but they are used for explaining the content of the code. So here we are taking a few data types. We have initialized pay status as a character wherein it says yes or no, Y for yes, and you can see when it is a character you have to put it in a single quote before and after that character. The boolean value available is been set to false, so this is declaration with initialization. Rest of the variables have only been declared, not initialized, and that is why we need to initialize them later. Okay, now you can see over here that we have initialized the remaining variables. Item ID is a string, so we have to put the value in the double quote marks. Quantity is an integer, price is a float. Now you can see if I remove this, it gives an error. It says that there is a lossy conversion from double to float. Now in Java, whenever you store a value as a float, you have to put an F to indicate that the value is not a double but a float. In the next line, we are doing a calculation. So we are doing price multiplied by quantity. We use the asterisk symbol in order to indicate multiplication. Okay, so just like we use the plus for addition. We will see operators later on, but right now this is a multiplication operator, asterisk, which will be used to multiply the value of price and quantity to calculate the value of amount, or that is payable amount. Okay, lastly you can see I have added several print statements over here in order to print the values of the variables. I have already shown you how to write down system.println in short by using sout shortcut, and like this by pressing the tab key after sout. Okay, so this way you can just write down all the print statements and then concatenate using the concatenation operator plus all the variables that you want to print. After execution from the run, you can see this is the output. Okay, all the variable values have been printed. So this is how you use data types in Java and display the values of variables.
Okay guys, this is all from me from TechCorner-JavaConCafe. Today, let's do a quick summary of what we've done. We've seen what is data type. Data type is nothing but what indicates the type of data that is going to store in the variable, and also allows the compiler to allow enough memory for that value to be stored in the variable. We've seen the categories of data types supported, that is integer types, floating point types, character and boolean, and string. We have seen the bit sizes, the different types of values that it supports, the usability of the data types, and which one should be used. We've seen that the string type is actually implemented in the form of a class, so that it will provide you several methods to be able to manipulate the string that it holds. In short, it will allow you to store more than one character, which is actually not possible with the character type. So guys, I hope you understood this. It was pretty simple and important to understand what is data type. And if you have not understood anything, write to me on itcom@gmail.com. You can post your comments in the comment section, or if you have any specific requirement of tutorials, do write to us so that we can make those tutorials for you. Okay then guys, take care, keep smiling because smiles are contagious. Adios!